All right, good evening. It is 6 o'clock on Tuesday, August 11, 2026. This is the Halifax Board of Selectmen meeting. We are in the Selectmen meeting room. This meeting has been posted in accordance with the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20B, and pursuant to Chapter 30A, Section 20F. Notice is being made that this meeting is being recorded and will be posted on Area 58 Community Access Channel. The board chair reasonably anticipates the following matters will be discussed and or voted on at this meeting. Agenda items may be taken out of order for time management considerations. I'd also add that we have some Zoom participants tonight here as well. Just in the way of introductions, to my right is Administrative Assistant Pam McSherry. To my immediate right, Town Administrator Stephen Solbo. To my left, Jonathan Seelig, and my name is Tom Pratt. Bill is unable to attend tonight. Those who are willing and able, if you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you for that. We'll just jump right in order. Tonight we are joined by Representative Ken Sweezy. We also have a representative of Kathy Lenatra's office here as well. Representative Lenatra was otherwise engaged tonight. We have a future meeting scheduled with her at some point at mutual convenience. So thank you both for being here, and I'd like to start with Ken.
Yeah, great. Well, Mr. Chair, thank you so much for the invitation. I really appreciate getting the opportunity to do this as like an annual check-in. I know Rep. Lenatra and myself visited you last year during the budget process, so this year we just thought, with all the questions, obviously, in municipal finance these days and in town, we thought it most prudent to do so after the budget was signed this year. So that's what we have. We sent over a few slides for you guys, which we'll just go through those rather quickly here. Some historical data on the budget, as well as what the fiscal year 27 budget looks like. A few other things that I thought were pertinent to town, which we'll get into, like some PFAS potential grant funding in the future, as well as MBTA communities updates, things like that. So we'll jump in and kind of slide through those. That easy. All right.
Okay,
we'll
you can play with it for a little bit.
And I can do it from here.
That's what he said.
All right.
We just
Stops moving around. Yep. All right. Sweet.
I don't know, yeah.
Can everybody see that over there? Can we, does that lean back? Jamie, see if I want to lean back a little bit or slide it back?
You can just maybe move the screen, just tilt it to the
Just
wall.
tilt it a little bit, Jerry, maybe a little, just so everybody in the room can see a little bit. Yeah, there you go.
You guys still see?
That's fine.
That's,
We have it via email as well.
yep.
Okay. Perfect.
Thank you.
So like I said, I wanted to include a few numbers from fiscal year 2026. This is the Halifax only. I think for 26 we've only included the Halifax only portion. So these numbers might seem low, but that's because we didn't include, the Silver Lake numbers at the bottom, forgive me. So you'll see these are just your local aid numbers from the past. This is what we were talking about a little bit last year. You guys are familiar with this. A year's gone by since this, but just to provide a little bit of context, this was your Chapter 90 funding dollars, which is your road funding, your state formulaic road funding. And then this, most relevant, is from a supplemental budget. I believe we reached out, obviously we had the big winter storm. What was really great about this and why we were so excited about this, I was on the conference committee for the supplemental budget that supported this winter road mileage, and the reason why I supported it so fervently is because they didn't use the typical Chapter 90 formula, they used road miles only. So for a town like Halifax, when they go by road miles, Chapter 90 takes economic factors into consideration, which in this area a lot of times can sort of tilt the scale a little bit away from our towns and sort of in favor of gateway cities and things. So they only use road miles, which was a really, really great thing. So this, nearly 138,000 extra dollars that got put into fiscal 26 for recovery from the storm, which was great. Oh, we're doing great.
Uh-oh. We had to move it. That's my fault.
No, it was working.
It was working, and then we moved it over.
Oh,
Hold on.
maybe. I don't know if you did that. Okay, I think it's back. So these are the new numbers for fiscal 27, and again, these are not tentative numbers. This is what was signed by the governor after the budget process. So what I included, which is probably going to make the most sense, in below it, in a slightly lighter color, you can see the increases here. So the budget, local aid got increased across the board somewhere in that 3+% realm. So you can see for Chapter 70, Halifax only number was about 86,000. Other unrestricted government aid was over 43,000. Again, that's 2.36 and 383 respectively. So the budget does increase the local aid. And also we have the Silver Lake number down there as well. So of course that's not entirely your portion, but again, that just gives you some context. So slight good news. This is Chapter 90. We saw the same sort of thing. So the numbers were, we didn't include those underneath, but the percentage was roughly the same, somewhere in that 2 to 3.5 range, depending on where the formula was coming from. But again, you saw what they did with this fiscal year. They used the traditional formula for a portion of it, and then mileage only. So again, the money is actually getting tilted towards communities like ours, which is good news. So again, I was very happy to see that, and you have the total down there at the bottom with that same approximate percent increase. This is just a little bit, again, of historical data plus what got in, so as well as the overall budget for specific funding formulas. We have the opportunity to do earmarks and specified projects. So I have here listed the earmarks between Representative Lenatra, myself, and Senator Brady that made it into the budget for both fiscal year 26 and fiscal year 27. So you can see it's actually pretty standard. The reps and senators have gotten about, it's what, 190 last year, and then we went to about 206.5 this year, which is great. So this is extra dollars specified for projects. I know Representative Lenatra worked very hard to get these included in the budget. So you can see what they were for this year, and I know that we're going to have opportunities to make sure that all of these projects get funded and to make sure that we're on track for things. So for fiscal year 27, things that are newer, I know these were things that have been talked about either in the past, and the Representative Lenatra, I know, sent a letter ahead of this meeting as well with some of the formulas and this funding on there as well. So you can see there's some treatment on there for Monponson, replacement of part of the roof on homes, school, phone system replacement, which is that extra for this year, and then some general operating for the Council on Aging. So that's what was in for 27, which would expire in June of 28. So, all that good?
Good, very good.
So there's a few other things that I thought I wanted to talk about real quick that were town specific. So as well as serving on the budget conference committee that ended up with the weather emergency relief, I'm also serving on the environmental bond bill conference committee, which is super important, whether it's from the coast, our inland lakes and ponds, and our drinking water, of course. So I thought for Halifax, this was particularly important. There's a few line items. Now, one thing to clarify with a bond authorization, it is what it sounds like. This is not earmarked dollars. This is not funding that is all appropriated. This is an authorization that the legislature gave to the governor or future governor. It's a 10-year authorization to borrow up to that amount. Now, in my view, I hope that for these specific projects, we do borrow the full amount. These are huge needs in this region, in the state. We know we have wells that aren't operating here in town. We have PFAS contamination all over Plymouth County. As an estimate, I know over in Duxbury, they're estimating between 40 and 80 million just to take the PFAS out of their water. I mean, that eats up 20% of this entire statewide program if all dollars were authorized. So that just gives you a sense of scale of this problem. So we'll definitely have some more information. The negotiations are ongoing, should be done in about 2 months. But should these numbers make it into the final version, we'll be sure to pass along some additional information about those programs specifically. And just even for more context, I know over the past 2 years with Steve and previously as well, we're trying our best between Rep. Lenatra and myself to keep you guys updated on what's going on in the state. I know grants is a touchy subject, but you know, there's been 15 applicable grant programs for Halifax that we've sent over. So that gives us a little bit of context for some of the other fun things we get to talk about. And you know, I know it's difficult, but I want you guys to know, I want everybody to know that just because of the way the court cases have gone, speaking about MBTA Communities Act, I know that that fight's not over. And I hope that you know that we're still up there representing where you guys stand on that and where the town stands on that. I know it's difficult. We fought really hard last year and were successful in getting public safety grants restored, which was a huge win, thanks to a lot of the fire chiefs in the region and you guys getting your paperwork done. So that was a huge win. And there's actually language in the environmental bond bill that specifically excludes non-compliant MBTA communities. And my number one priority is getting that language taken out. So it is always on the top of my list with everything that I'm doing, to make sure that they're not going to continue to twist the knife on the situation that we're in. So just wanted to share that. I did offer up the same amendments I have 2 years in a row during this budget cycle. Offered up amendments to repeal the MBTA Communities Act, which, statewide is not really popular for, I think we're at about 170 of the 177 communities are now compliant, as you know. So,
Can I ask a question on that?
please, yeah.
Is that compliant, including paper compliance, or is that complete compliance?
That would be compliant according to the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, which would include what we now call paper compliance.
So 170 out of 177 are at least paper compliant or better?
Yes. Yeah. And for context, for anybody listening here and at home, paper compliance means that the town approved a zone in an area that essentially is not buildable. So they have an MBTA Communities Act zone, but it is nearly impossible or impossible to actually build on it. Many communities did that, but they do have a zone. But yes. So there were amendments. I spoke on it once again and gave a speech on the floor trying to get a little bit of clemency on that, but unfortunately the amendments were defeated. So a few other things. In my view, the 2 to 3% increase is obviously great. 5 out of my 5 towns this year had overrides, either operational or net exclusions. And I think in my view, the 2 to 3% isn't going to prevent future overrides. And we know that. So I'm not going to come here and pretend that 2 to 3.5% is going to solve all our problems. With that, there were many other amendments filed throughout the budget as well. So I just wanted to mention there were other programs that we tried to reallocate funding towards and prioritize. So there was an amendment filed by the Minority Caucus to move $10 million into unrestricted government aid. It would have been small per community, but that gives you the flexibility outside of Chapter 70 and Chapter 90. Unfortunately, that didn't make it in. There was a few other things that would have particularly helped Halifax, like guaranteeing fully funding regional transit. To me, that's a no-brainer. That's an obvious time where the state is not fulfilling its opportunity. Unfortunately, that didn't make it in. There was other just sort of across-the-board increases, proposed 10% increase to unrestricted government aid again, excess revenue above what's budgeted rather than being spent in a supplement to be earmarked for local aid was another proposal, as well as increasing the percentage of special education reimbursement, again, for schools where they're getting absolutely killed right now. So, again, just like to give you the context that I'm not happy with 2 to 3%. So, is there anything else that you guys had there?
No, just, I think, Ken, the fact that, as you say, 5 of your 5 communities were looking at it, I don't think what we faced here in Halifax was a Halifax problem. I think this is a statewide problem. So if you can bring your message back to the State House that the focus still needs to be helping our communities.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad you brought up special education. I had that written down.
Yep.
Continue to make that a focus because, as you say, that is killing our budgets.
Yep.
So those were the 2 things I had written down from what you said.
Yes, unfortunately, it really is like every community.
Yeah.
It really is, and something's going to have to break. I don't want to say I'm optimistic, but there is a lot of buzz about revising the Chapter 70 formula, which is typically the biggest single line item in your schools for any municipality, especially around here. I want to be cautiously optimistic that they're finally going to have some adults in the room that will sit down and say, we need to redo this, we need to edit it severely, because it's not going to stop, it's only speeding up.
Sure.
And inflation is continuing to crush us. The inflation cap, I actually had filed a bill as well, that would have eliminated the inflation cap. So when you saw inflation at like 8% during
It's
COVID,
like 4, right?
4.5.
Four, yeah.
4.5 is a cap. So the towns had to eat inflation.
Yeah.
Completely nonsense.
Yeah.
Nonsensical that would happen. So, yeah, a lot of work being done in that department, and really hope that we'll have even better news for you next year.
Great.
So,
Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Jim
through the
Walters.
chair, right?
Yeah.
Jim, go ahead. Name and address, please, Jim.
Jim Walters, 26 Orchard Circle. I appreciate the 3.5% as it addresses the consumer inflation rate, but what the town suffers from when it comes to costs is the producer inflation rate. So the PPI, which is running at 5.5%, isn't really even being addressed by the gains that you've made by your budget at this point. So number one, I appreciate your vote on no on the current budget. However, is the state assembly actually taking into consideration the producer index inflation rate when they make these numbers? Because that's where the town really suffers.
Yeah. No, that's a great question, and when you look at things like, healthcare obligations and pension obligations as well, that is going way above,
Right.
the 3.5% as well. So, the short answer of that, I couldn't even tell you what the exact number they're looking at is. I can tell you that, to your point, I did vote no on this budget, because when 5 out of my 5 towns have overrides, I can't vote yes on that.
Sure.
And now I know a lot of people, the increases are also very necessary, and I understand why, I am supportive, of course, of any increase. But, it's a huge lack, and my number one priority, honestly, right now, is getting the local aid up to a figure that makes sense, which would include that. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just kind of echo what Jonathan said a minute ago. I mean, I don't know the exact number. I read in the Globe, I think, a couple months ago that nearing 45% of towns were proposing an override of some sort, debt exclusion or operational or otherwise. It should be noted that Halifax has been, nearing 20 years since even proposing an override. So I don't want to say that we're blameless, because, there's always improvements to be made at every level. But 45%, nearing 50% of towns, that's not a local issue, or isolated to a local issue. That's not mismanagement of local funds. That's fixed costs rising faster than we can raise taxes.
Yeah, I don't remember.
That's a fundamental issue.
FY '25 or FY '26, but the number was 76 communities proposed an override or debt exclusion, operational or debt exclusion. Only 35 passed.
Right.
So that rate, less than 50% of the towns are then passing it, because the towns don't have the money, obviously, the residents don't have to fund it. So, a proposed override is not inherently a failure, and a failed override is not inherently a failure either. It's what's happening right now, all across the Commonwealth, which is why Chapter 70 is the heart of it, but local aid at large. If you look at it by percent, UGA has actually been cut in half over the last 15 years. By percent of municipal budget, UGA used to be like 10-20%, and it's down to single digits. It's what the Mass Municipal Association, which all towns are members of, is looking to do is just even get it back to the same percentage that it was before the 2008 financial crisis. UGA has never recovered since then, and has consistently percentage-wise gone down. So it's a huge problem. We're looking at all avenues from revising Chapter 70. I think the unrestricted government aid number has to go up. It has to, because it just hamstrings communities too much. But we absolutely hear, and obviously for towns like yours, regional transit and special circuit breakers are a huge problem.
Yep.
Anything else specifically?
Anything else?
Well, again, thank you guys for having us in. As you all know, anytime you need us, we're happy to be out and about. Representative Lenatra and I for a lot of great retirements and everything in town. We're grateful for everybody who serves Halifax as well. And we're particularly grateful to Selectman Silly here for accepting the Declaration of Independence. We got to drop.
I didn't drop it. That was good. I was nervous.
Yeah, it was really great. Is it up yet?
And we have it in Stephen's office.
Okay.
No, it's still in
Oh, it's
your
still in
Oh,
Pam's
perfect.
office.
I'm trying to find a perfect spot. So
All right.
Yeah, we got.
We can't put nails on the wall, so we gotta figure it out.
Okay, fair enough. I'm such a nerd. If you'll indulge me, if that's all right. This is an exact time-appropriate replica of the first Declaration of Independence that was printed in Salem, Massachusetts in 1776, using time-appropriate paper and time-appropriate methods. There's a historic printer in Massachusetts that uses an old press. So I have a lot of fun.
It says Kinko's right on the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Well, thank you all.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your work on behalf of the town.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it, Ken.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Good to meet you. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so I know we have people here for a variety of reasons tonight, so I guess we'll just kind of go in order as they're here. So jumping ahead to B, which is a review of the recommendation from the Traffic Safety Committee for HCVE west end of Old Plymouth Street. So this comes from, I know, is Chief Jobs on the call?
He is.
Yep, yeah, he is on the call.
Could you put it back to, yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Chief, can you hear us?
Chief, I don't know if you want to jump in or if you want me to take the lead on it. I don't know, we're on the heavy vehicle exclusion. I don't know if you heard that.
Yep, so that's, the Traffic Safety Committee, had a meeting, to comply with the last couple of things that the, state wanted, in order to adopt, the heavy, vehicle exclusion zone for Old Plymouth, the western portion of Old Plymouth. So the committee is recommending, the exclusionary zone for heavy vehicle traffic. And the board needs to approve it. And then I think the clerk's office has to post it for a certain amount of time. I'm not sure the exact amount of time. And then they will send us the permit, and then Steve can go ahead and put signage to exclude the trucks from that area.
Okay. I mean, I sit on the Traffic Safety Committee, so I'm familiar with this. Are you familiar with the area?
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with the area. I live around the corner. It makes sense to me, those roads, Furnace Street and Old Plymouth Street, are very windy, narrow roads. I can understand the desire to have this. The only issue I had, and I don't know if your committee looked at it, is by looking at this map, it looks like we'll now be kind of not funneling, but adding more traffic likely to the Pine Street 106 intersection.
Correct.
And that has me a little bit nervous, given the history of traffic incidents at that intersection. So did the committee consider that basically when they were?
Yes, it was considered. All things were considered, including a vehicle exclusion on both ends. The problem there is the Pine Street, the turn radius on heavy vehicles, large trucks. There have been some slight improvements over on Pine Street on behalf of the Highway Department. There are those, I don't know what they're called, but there's 5 or 6 poles leading up to the intersection, which in my opinion is a step ahead of where they were before with lighting and signs. There's something in the road physically, if you're not familiar with the road, to indicate there's a hill and a stop coming up. So yeah, it was considered. It was noted that it would direct traffic to Pine Street, and there was vehicle turn radius concerns as well. But the study by the state indicated that it was possible.
Yeah, I mean, as long as that intersection was brought up and considered.
It was.
Then it makes sense to me.
Chief, anything to add on that Pine Street diversion, or the more likelihood of traffic being diverted to Pine Street?
No, I mean, you touched up on all the points. So the state did their study, and although it's not optimal, they recommended Pine Street as a approved thoroughfare, or not thoroughfare, but thorough street in order for traffic to come out of Old Plymouth, because there's no other way for traffic to come out of that area.
Okay. Does anybody in the room have any comment or questions about this issue as it pertains to the heavy vehicle exclusion as printed or discussed? Okay. Anybody online have anything to add? I'm not great at looking at the hands, so I don't know if you guys see anything.
No hands, just red microphones.
Anything else to add on that, Jonathan?
No, as long as we're doing our due diligence, Steve was part of your committee, I assume, and as long as we're taking every precaution we can for that intersection, whether it's increased signage, lights, whatever we can do to add to that to make it safer, because for whatever reason, a lot of our accidents happen in the fall in that area. I don't know if it's a sun thing or a light thing or what. I've had residents come to me and ask if we could really take a look at it. So.
Steve Hayward on the committee, as you mentioned, I think he has bigger ideas and hopes for it, but it comes down to Chapter 90 funding.
Sure.
That the special projects, and that's a substantial cost to put lights or rotaries or signage there.
No.
It's not. If money was no object, I think that would have been addressed a long time
Yeah,
ago.
we did a road safety audit with Old Colony Planning Council on that intersection like 2 years ago. They presented a bunch of different alternatives for us, but like you say, nothing in this life is free. So,
Very little.
yeah, as long as the committee kicked the tires on Pine Street, then I'm okay.
Okay, so Chief, what do you need from us? Remind me, we need a Board of Selectmen vote to entertain approving this as printed to send it back to the Commonwealth?
Yeah, I believe, Pam has a copy of the email,
Is it
step
here?
one, or the last
Yeah, there's
step
an
is
email inside
the,
of them.
approval by the board, on the recommendation of the Traffic
Okay,
Safety
John.
Committee.
There's a letter.
And then,
Do that.
I believe the decision, I believe has to be posted.
Or there's a letter.
Again,
There's a letter
I
from,
would defer to Sue with the, length of time that it has to be posted. Once the item is posted and the time is expired, then we just let the state know, and then they'll give us the permit.
It's the letter from Mass
The
DOT.
exclusion
on it.
change.
You can do the first line. Do you see? what
First
it
line,
says?
Mass DOT, District 5, Traffic Design and Safety.
Has completed safety? So what, a vote to approve, motion to approve?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, I will make a motion to approve the Mass DOT District 5 Traffic Design and Safety as completed in the review for heavy commercial vehicle exclusion for the western portion of Old Plymouth Street in the town of Halifax, as printed.
I will second that motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous, 2-0. Okay, so we will get that signed and back
Yeah, I'll give
once
it a
received.
go.
Okay.
I should be-
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. While we have Chief, I don't know if he's got more on here, but skipping way down, and yeah, is that what it is? What page are we on here?
And,
Yeah, I know, but what letter?
hold on. $45,
Thank you.
yeah, page 45.
I have a letter here dated from Chief Jobs, so I'm just going to read it quickly. If I can get this to work. Is there a better way to do this?
45?
There you go. I don't know. if it-
Teamwork right there.
Just switch. Okay, I have a letter dated from Chief Jobs dated August 6th to the town and Halifax Board of Selectmen. Dear members of the board, this letter is submitted to respectfully recommend that the town retire Comfort Dog Roxy from active service and authorize her transfer to Officer Campbell and his family following his resignation from the Halifax Police Department. Since joining the department, Roxy has faithfully served the community as a comfort dog while forming an inseparable bond with Officer Campbell and his family. Through years of daily interaction, training, and living within the Campbell household, Roxy has become an integral part of the family. Separating her from her environment, her handler, and family to whom she has become attached would likely have a significant negative impact on her well-being and could diminish her effectiveness should the town attempt to place her with another handler. So there's more, but we're talking to Bill, our colleague, Bill Smith. This is fairly standard practice with comfort dogs. They typically go with their handler. There's costs associated with us obtaining the dog. This went through procurement to determine what would be a cost in obtaining or retaining the dog and replacing her. So I would make a motion to accept Chief Jobs' recommendation for the separation of Comfort Dog Roxy for her to be able to spend her remaining days with Officer Campbell.
I will second that only on the stipulation. We get some milk bones involved in that severance.
Okay, deal. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous 2-0. So Pam, if we could maybe draft a letter back to Officer Campbell, thanking him for his service and making known that the dog is now his. Okay. Chief Jobs, did you have anything else specific for tonight?
No, so the only thing is, I believe since you guys made the recommendation and took the vote, I believe we need to have Jack, legal counsel, just draft up a MOA that both the board and Officer Campbell need to sign, just, basically what you guys decided on your vote today, that Roxy will become a family pet, basically, and that town is waiving any claims to Roxy.
Okay. So we can be in touch with Jack Dolan on that? Okay. All right, thank you, Chief. Okay. Skipping ahead, just keeping an order here. Letter C, discussion on a possible step increase for our principal assessor appraiser. This is regarding our principal assessor, newly appointed Caroline. And this is having to do with a step increase from what to what? Is it in here?
1 to 2.
Step 1 to step 2, and it has to do with her retaining her length of tenure with the town, allowing for her vacation accruals to be carried over to her new position.
Correct. So Caroline's worked for the town for 4 years now. So she has she has worked to the point where she has gained the ability to retain 3 weeks of vacation. By starting over at step 1 in a new position, that would put her back to 2 weeks. So we didn't, as a town, I don't think it's beneficial to take away something she's already accrued working in other roles. So she wants to maintain that 3 weeks. We're not giving her 3 weeks vacation. She just has the ability to accrue that 3 weeks like she would have if she had stayed in her previous role. And then the other one would be step 1 to step 2, which was asked of all the Board of Assessors members, and 2 out of 3 agreed with that change. So there's your background information on the other.
And so any motion tonight, if approved by this board, would head to special town meeting for a vote?
As far as allocation for the monies, yes, and Caroline understands that it would come down to fall town meeting, allocation at fall town meeting for that to be in place. But for now, it would be approving that change, and then with the allocation to come at a later date for fall town meeting.
Okay. Anybody in the room want to speak or add to that? Questions or comments?
I believe that it was 3 of 3 of the assessors.
I didn't see all 3. I only saw 2 out of 3. So if it was all 3, that's great. I only saw 2 out of 3. So
Okay.
in my email box, so it could have easily been 3 out of 3.
Okay. Jonathan, any questions or
No,
comments?
so just so I can get this surmised here, so we're looking to give our new assessor possibility of accruing 3 weeks of vacation, which she currently had in her previous position. We're looking to move her from a step 1 to a step 2, based on her experience, which,
Her tenure.
on her tenure.
Well, experience
Experience in assessing, not as an
and
assessor.
experience in the role leading up to the principal assessor appraiser role. And based on pretty much the group of applicants that we received for the position.
Okay.
It aligns more with the market value for that position, to be honest, as far as where she is in her career and where she's starting. So I think we all know where Halifax stands as far as compensation standpoint. So anything to do with retention and recruitment is a
Yeah.
positive.
Sure.
But yeah, this would also, the last note would be that this is retroactive. So this would be as of July 1st
To be voted on this
to be
fall.
voted on
For
this
the
fall.
fall,
So
anything
it
would be retro.
So everything she's doing currently, it would be starting the position as if she'd started at step 2.
Okay.
So she'd get a retro check in addition to, so the full allocation would just need to be figured out as far as that additional year, which I believe it's like $3,500 over the course of the entire year.
Okay. So is this 2 separate things, taking into account the vacation and the step increase that need to be discussed, or is it a package?
I think it's just to approve, you can approve both at the same time.
Okay.
Those were her counters to the proposal that was sent to her.
Okay.
And then they were agreed to based on the votes of the Board of Assessors, so.
Yep.
And again, I know we have Dottie, you're here
Yeah.
from the Board of Assessors, she's on our Board of Assessors. You said it was a 3 of 3 vote in favor of these?
Yeah, and the difference is $2,195
2,195?
in 95.
Okay.
I mean, I think given the circumstances of the employee, her length of commitment, you know, her dedication to the town, I think it's the least we could do to put it to the special town meeting with an affirmative vote. So I will make a motion to support the principal assessor appraiser's request, retroactive to July 1st, putting her from step 1 to step 2 with the understanding that she would be granted the 3rd week of vacation, subject to payroll records indicating length of employment.
I second that motion.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Could I just ask a quick question?
Absolutely. Sorry.
Where is the money coming from? I mean, how is it going to be, or where is it coming from, I guess is.
Well, that'll be determined by special town meeting. I would imagine it would be a line item transfer from an existing account.
Or free cash, or stabilization fund, or, I've seen it all in this town.
So the difference between the former
Or the difference,
principal assessor and.
or the difference between the fact that we don't have the administrative assessor role currently filled, so there's money accruing in that.
that office has an opening that wasn't previously budgeted for, so.
Okay, so I saw, you know, it was posted and voted on by the town, and I just wondered if, you know, if it was that kind of increase. The proposed budget was in the 80s, I think, and then it was reduced down to 70.
No, that's not correct. That is not correct.
Reading
The
right here,
proposal-
line 17.
The proposal was for $75,000, it was increased to $77,000 because that was based on the FY 2026 step one number. We had to adjust it to the step 2027 number, or the FY 27 number, which was actually about $77,000. This would actually be taking it from step one to step two.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So that carried 2-0, and I probably should have asked 2-0, I'm sorry, 2-0. Next on the agenda item, I didn't, this will give me some problems.
So did you want to ask for some talent bank?
Yeah, so I just had a clarification question, I guess for Jonathan, who weren't here at the last meeting.
Yeah.
Back in June, we had a meeting when we were accepting talent bank applications and we were reappointing officials to certain committees and towns.
Correct.
There was a hold on one of the items, I believe, for the Holidays in Halifax
We did,
Committee.
yeah.
And there was talk at that time, at that meeting, that there may or may not be a merger between the two committees and boards.
Sure.
One being the Halifax Fireworks Committee, and then the other one or the 4th of July, whatever that one is, and then the Holidays in Halifax. I think there was some new information that came about that one of them was established on town floor.
Holidays in Halifax.
So one of them has to stay for a period of time. And so my question was, given the fact that we're now moving on 60 days since that meeting.
Sure.
I think it appropriate now, with no further action from the two committees in terms of merging, that we should submit or ask for or be ready to obtain talent bank forms for the opening.
Sure, yeah,
Where that was previously tabled, I think that's more appropriate that we ask for people, for that spot to be filled rather than just
Yeah.
stay vacant.
Yeah, we had a longtime member of that committee, and for a long time, the only member of that committee, had some health issues this year and had to step down. But I would be okay, and I know we have Kim Campbell here, who's also on the committee.
Sure.
I would be okay, requesting talent bank forms to try to get that position filled.
Yeah.
And the idea, I would, and again, this is coming from me, I know Holidays in Halifax was established on town meeting floor. To me, it makes sense to combine the two committees, have a Halifax Celebrates Committee, so it simplifies things, streamlines things, so I think that's my end goal, but where we won't be probably able to do that before this Holidays in Halifax season, it probably makes sense just to fill that spot for now.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was coming from. It wasn't to deter anybody from merging or establishing what the goal might be to streamline it. It was just if we have an opening
Yeah.
and there's no immediate plan to do anything,
Sure.
let's fill it with somebody who might want to help.
Sure,
I know there's always the need for help around those two things.
absolutely. Do we
Any
wanna-
questions or comments?
Kim, you got anything for it, or you're all right?
Well, the Halifax Fireworks said that they'd be willing to help out for Holidays in Halifax
Great.
on the idea of eventually merging.
Yeah, so I go to,
We have about 7 people on that committee.
I've been helping out that committee for like 7, 8 years now, and you've been to the meetings, and it's a lot of folks that come to help that aren't necessarily officially members on that committee, but they're there to help and offer their services. A lot of department heads, chief, is there, fire's there, so I would recommend if people on Halifax and Lights want to come and help, by all means, have them come on down. There might not be an official voting member of the committee, but we can still, many hands make light work, so by all means. Do we want to set up a time to ask for them and then have a deadline?
Yeah,
To get it on.
why don't we, I don't know if we need a motion for this, but why don't we just say have it posted and we'll take them up until, what's today, August?
Want to do like a month from
Yeah.
last meeting?
Yes.
The second meeting in September, give it 4 or 5 weeks,
Yeah,
whatever that second meeting is,
second September meeting.
maybe the 22nd?
Yeah, and by then, I will say that the committee will probably already have their wheels running for,
We already do.
yeah,
Okay, second meeting in September. So let's have them submitted, just look at my calendar here. Let's say the deadline for submission, my suggestion might be, that's our meeting, the 23rd.
20,
So just, the deadline is
22nd?
the 18th, Friday the 18th?
Yeah.
Or Friday the 18th?
Friday the 18th, the deadline for our meeting.
To be taken
go
up
over
on
is
Friday the 22nd. So Tuesday the 22nd. Friday the 18th will be the deadline for submission. All good?
I love it.
We don't need a motion for that, right? No, okay. Okay, Anybody here for anything specific?
We'll go right down to
Yeah.
E, because I think Kim's here for,
E, okay, the one-day liquor license for numerous days, okay. This is,
Farm at Ravenbrook.
Ravenbrook, Upland Ale Company LLC, DBA Brewery, Day 44, one-day licenses for, I did have a question on this, because there was, on the form, there was both an individual and an LLC as the applicant. What page are we on here?
You should be around page 6.
I think you're the first page. No, not that one. Hold on. You got
That's
the
the
first
Upland,
page.
Upland Ale Company, that one?
No, not that, not that.
This is the form here.
Today is the
Page
first
6.
How do you scroll?
You use your finger, it's touch.
Fancy. Okay, so so is the applicant Upland Ale Company or Mary King?
So I believe Upland Ale Company is doing business as Brewery 44.
Yeah.
That's their LLC, but they're
Okay.
Brewery 44.
Okay.
Doing business.
Mary King is the owner.
Yeah, she's the
There's no owner of an LLC, but, okay,
Okay.
okay.
So I get what you're saying. So Brewery 44 is the organization, Mary King is the owner. Yeah.
Right, but best I know, it's not, I don't think it's pertinent, but best I know LLCs are either members or managers. There's no owners of LLCs. They're organized, you're insulated as an LLC, yeah,
By
okay,
definition, probably a manager.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then the other question was there an all alcohol or beer, wine? There was one question. Was it just beer, it was just beer and wine?
Yep.
Yep.
Correct.
And it's these dates on your third page here, starting in September,
There's 13 dates.
running through October. Those.
Yeah, but I just had a question. Steven, did we talk about this?
No.
I don't know if you saw. So, it's just beer and wine, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Wasn't there,
You're saying my note about
Yeah.
saying one day all alcohol permits.
but this, so this form is just for, I'm just looking at the form. The form says,
See the X on the
is
bottom there?
beer, yeah. So the X,
One
okay.
day beer and wine.
Okay, and so do we need a separate motion for all 8 of the day, 2, 4? One motion is sufficient if I name them
Yeah,
all?
I think so.
Okay. I will make a motion to approve the one-day beer and wine license for Upland Ale for an event held at Ravenbrook Farm, 137 Wood, for September 18th, September 19th, September 25th, September 26th, October 2nd, October 3rd, October 9th, October 10th, October 11th, October 16th, October 17th, October 23rd, and October 24th, all in 2026, with the hours being on Fridays from 5 to 9 p.m. and on both Saturdays, on those days, Saturdays and Sundays, from 1 p.m. until 5 p.m.
Second.
I should have probably should have asked if there's any other comments or questions from the crowd before I made that motion. Seeing none, I will make that motion. Jonathan?
I seconded it again.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, it is approved. Just going in order, zoning bylaws. Jerry, are you here for that tonight?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so Jerry did drop off, the 2 meetings, last meeting, Jonathan, 2 weeks ago, Jerry stopped in and we had a conversation with Jerry and also John Bruno, former Board of Selectmen, about the zoning bylaw review committee, Jerry's work in front of the planning board over the last several months, introducing pieces of it. The goal from Jerry's point of view was to get that finalized and not have all the time and effort by the committee have gone but for naught, and get that to town meeting floor. He has since dropped off in our office a completed packet of the work that was submitted by the group. I admit, Jerry, I was away last week and haven't had a chance to review that in its entirety. I'm of the opinion, having sitting on a committee like that, for the work to make it to town floor, that I think the residents deserve to hear it. But I'd like a review. We also had talked about committee composition at that time, where at the time there was some talk about a 5-member board, which at one point expanded to 9, was back to 5, and since then of those 5, at least 1 or 2 are no longer sitting in the positions they held at the time, including John Bruno. So there was some discussion about placing a Board of Selectmen liaison back on that committee to join the existing committee members who wanted to remain, which I believe you said at that time that all of those previous 4, yourself, Jim Walters, Frank Johnson, and John Bruno, were still interested. Is that?
Correct.
Okay. And the remaining member, Jeremy Gillespie, we have not
We have not heard from him.
we have not heard from him on that. So, I mean, I would like a little bit more time to review the packet as printed. I don't know that that precludes us from putting that committee back together. But I don't want to speak for Bill either when he's not here.
So again, we have 2 how many, can you break that down
Yeah,
one more time?
well, we should back up. So there's originally there was a Board of Selectmen member,
Yeah,
a FinCom member,
yeah,
a member of the zoning board,
yeah.
a member of the planning board. Originally wasn't the,
No,
no?
there was a planning board,
Me-
previous.
Gotcha.
Okay. Then we had town administrator, town council. There was like an 8-person board, I think it was, or including the non-voting members,
We had the building inspector.
and the building inspector. So building inspector, town administrator, town council, and then John Bruno, Jerry, either Jim or Frank was part of the finance committee,
Yeah,
and then Jeremy and the remaining FinCom member were members at large.
with 5 voting members?
5 voting members.
Okay,
So there was some talk at the last meeting from other residents about having somebody from the planning board be
Yes.
represented
Yeah.
on that committee and what that composition might look like. So if you kept it at 5, it would be
Yeah.
Board of Selectmen, Finance, Planning,
ZBA.
a ZBA, and then 1 member at large.
Yeah.
Unless you wanted to expand the committee back to
No.
7. So that was,
No.
that was where we started. We had agreed to table it for future discussion, which was tonight, with the hopes of reviewing it. I don't know, I don't want to speak for Bill in reviewing it. I think it would make the most sense to have as many familiar faces on there as possible.
Sure.
But I'd like to see the planning board be involved, because eventually that's going to have to go to the planning board for a recommendation before it goes to town meeting.
And I have no problem with it.
Sure, and you mentioned that.
Yeah.
But I just think it might be better to not spin our wheels, to have it presented for just unilaterally be shot down if there's no input from the planning board or the finance committee or anything like that.
No, I expect to get, if I have to be a pain in the butt, I'll be in front of these meetings.
Okay,
To make sure that we get results.
okay,
The only thing I've asked, and I've got plenty of people telling me, hey, you gotta look at the sign, try and get that all squared away. I say, okay, tell me what's wrong with the signs, and give me your input.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, everybody has an idea, but no one wants to give us any information as to
Sure.
why they want this changed. Just put it in writing, so we can all look at it and say, okay,
yeah.
and try and do it. But yeah, we have a good package, please review it. You don't have to start this committee right away, because a lot of the work has been done. Whenever you do have it, let's get back involved, and just everyone has to review what we've already presented.
right, yeah, and and like I said, I'm about halfway through on that,
Yeah.
so. Why don't we put this on a future agenda with the understanding that all 3 of us will make an effort to review the work done, consider the composition of the committee,
Yep.
and put it on a future agenda to reignite that committee, hopefully with a composition that makes sense for everybody.
Sure. I'll just go on record and say I like the idea of a 5-member voting committee consisting of a Board of Selectmen, FinCom, ZBA,
Planning,
Planning Board,
yeah.
and Citizen at Large.
Yeah.
To me, that makes the most sense. I feel like, Jerry, part of the reason that plan died at town meeting last year was because I don't think planning didn't have enough input in the meeting. So when it was presented to them, I felt like if you had a member on planning that was involved, that could keep them kind of abreast of what was going on from the inside, I think it would have had a better chance of, and not a slight to anybody, but it would have had a better chance of surviving at town meeting, because I don't think planning felt that they knew what they were voting for. So I think if we get planning involved, like Tom says, it's bylaws, it's zoning, which is planning, so I think it makes sense to do there. I don't think we should throw that report away. That's
No.
crazy.
That's the part that I keep on telling you.
Yeah, no, that's insane.
A lot of time was spent, a lot of money was spent.
A lot of money spent on it, a lot of time spent, a lot of smart people looking at it. I would be dead set against not at least looking at that, using that, in my opinion, as a boiler, not a boilerplate, but
It's the basis of.
a basis of what you guys were trying to do and work off of that.
General framework, I would
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
The other thing we have to look into and acknowledge is that those appointments and the original appointment that was charged back in this is like pre-COVID, I believe it was charged originally. Those appointments had no end date.
Right,
So we would have to go look about how to
Fine.
reestablish, end that one and
reestablish.
reestablish something with new appointments.
Okay,
Otherwise, anybody who is appointed
Yeah.
has reasonable grounds to expect to
Sure.
remain on the committee, I would imagine. So,
Whichever form the committee is made up of, doesn't bother me.
Okay.
All I want to
Yeah.
do is get this done.
done.
Yep.
I
You know,
agree.
Too much time has been spent
I
on it.
agree.
Let's finish it.
okay,
And we hear, Jerry, we hear a lot of complaints from folks that our bylaws are antiquated and old and confusing, and one bylaw conflicts with the other bylaw, like, so I do think we need to have a long, hard look at them, and to your point, town spent money on them, the town spent a lot of time with volunteers going over them, so I don't think to throw that all away and start from scratch is crazy, in my opinion.
I agree.
I would agree. One of my favorite bylaws came up in the first meeting we had as a government study committee, the fence viewer. We
Yes.
took that
Yeah,
about
you
too
need
long
a
ago.
fence viewer,
Fence
yeah.
viewer, it's an official term, and we now have one appointed.
We have one in town
Yeah,
now.
pretty
yeah.
good. All right, so, that being said, when we revisit this next time, we want to be clear about the order of what we're doing here. So can we check with Sue Lawless about how to sunset those appointments and reconstitute, possibly appointing? Do we need to put out talent bank forms for this?
I would think.
So let's do that again. Let's open up the talent bank forms for a possible appointment
But that would be for the citizen at large.
for the citizen at large.
The other ones, we could have like, FinCom could make their member,
Yes.
planning, ZBA, they
Right.
could make their recommendation on members. We could make
Board of-
ours.
right.
Yep,
Okay.
so
Okay.
talent bank for the
Talent bank
citizen at
forms by
large.
September 18th to be taken up on Tuesday, the 23rd. Same timeline as the Halifax fireworks and
Yep,
4th of July, or holidays. Do we want to make that motion tonight, or do you want to table that with our understanding of the composition of the committee until the 23rd?
do we wanna wait for
Well,
Bill?
the only thing about waiting on the composition is if we wait on the composition of the committee, we're gonna have to re-vote on the 23rd about the composition of the committee. And then you'd have to have the recommendation of the planning board, of the zoning board, of all the boards.
All right, so
which would
start
delay
it
it.
now so we can get the
Yeah,
ball
well,
rolling
that's
now.
my,
Yeah.
Do something that to comprise of what you want.
Correct.
this
All right.
comprised of and the terms.
Okay.
Because you don't want open terms, so I would suggest a year term, because you would hope that this would get underway within the year.
so a term to expire June 30th of 2027? You think 10 months is sufficient on this?
You think,
I think that,
well, we could,
like I
then
say,
you can reappoint them, then you can reappoint them, so if it expires in 2027, then you can just reappoint.
Just
Okay.
reappoint him again.
All right.
You do it for
this
another
doesn't
year.
pass at the annual meeting.
Okay.
and That's a problem.
Yeah,
So I think I'm hearing from you, John, I don't want to speak for you, but we're in alignment, 5-person committee.
yep,
Board of Selectmen, Finance, Planning Board, Zoning Bylaws, and 1 committee member at large, for which we'll accept talent bank applications until September 18th on that. And we will make the provisions that those terms to expire June 30th of 2027. And we'll have to get with Sue. I don't know if she's on the call, or that's Sue Lawless or somebody else. But we'll have to, I'm unfamiliar with how to sunset
Sunset
the
one and
old
bring it up.
committee, the appointments on that. So we'd have to make sure we're aligned on that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because we can't have 2 committees doing the same thing with different
Correct.
compositions, so let's do that. So at that point, I will make a motion to approve the composition of a 5-person committee with terms to expire June 30th, 2027. 5 persons, 4 of which will be 1 member each from the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Planning Board, the Board of Selectmen, and the Finance Committee, with the 5th member being a member at large.
and that is for the zoning bylaw review.
Zoning Bylaw Review Committee,
And I will
yes.
second that motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so what we need to do also is to communicate to the Planning Board, the Zoning Bylaw, the Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Finance Committee that at one of their meetings in the lead up to the 23rd, they should be prepared to have discussed and appoint a member, a representative to sit on that committee.
Yeah, and Jerry, if you could, what was the frequency that you guys met? Is it a once a month, is it a twice a month? How frequently, just so folks that might be interested on those boards know what they're getting into?
Once a month that we had, yeah, I mean, because we were doing the MBTA also at the same time, it
Yeah.
might have been twice a month, or depending on what we needed to get done.
And again, we're kind of much further along in the process now with the backbones of the work that they've done. At this point, it's a review of what has been done and where to tweak and where to move and how to
I
present.
don't
And
think there's gonna be a lot of
Okay.
changes further on.
Yeah.
There's a few things that everybody, has mentioned to me, so, okay, we can look at them. But for the most part, we've aligned the bylaws now, they're alphabetical, we've taken everything that was for commercial, even though they were in 4 different places.
Put
they're
them all
under
together.
commercial. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it makes it a little bit easier.
Good.
And there's a few things that were eliminated, there's a few things that were added to it, but for the most part, once you compare both, I think you'll find that we're in good shape.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for your work, Jay.
Okay, so we'll circle back, we'll take that up on our September 23rd meeting.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, just quickly in order, just to cross it off, have you had a chance to review the selectmen meeting minutes from May 12th?
have. Yes, I have.
2026, June 9th, 2026, and June 23rd, 2026?
Strong work, Pam.
Any questions, comments,
Nope.
concerns? Okay, we'll take them up individually. I will make a motion to approve the May 12th, 2026 meeting minutes.
So, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I will make a motion to approve as written the June 9th, 2026 Board of Selectmen meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And I will make a motion to approve the June 23rd, 2026 meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Want to just get back up ahead and cross
Yeah.
off the warrants and amendments?
Okay, I move to affirm the approval of the following warrants. Withholding warrant number 7 for $80,079.18. Vendor warrant number 8 for $329,613.02. And school warrant number 10 for $52,091.38.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
I move to approve the following warrants and commitments. Payroll warrant number 9 for $290,260.17. Vendor warrant number 12 for $316,379.11. And mobile home park fee number 8 for $5,160.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay. Next in line, I believe we have at least one or two people here for this. Stephen, did you just want to go over briefly the updates? This has to do with Lincoln Street and the 4th Avenue boat ramp updates. At the last meeting, we had talked about, or maybe it was 2 meetings ago, we had talked about some surveying of the land, title searches and so forth. One of the residents spoke to some work that he had done. We had talked about doing some research on our end to that effect. Stephen, you want to jump in?
Yeah, so I've done some work. I've dug up the number of engineering firms that have PLS or professional land surveyor, which would be the person required in order to do the survey out there, find all the bounds and find where the property ends up. And then in order to do a title search, this could be something that we either have town council entertain, but they're obviously overloaded with everything that we send their way anyways. But typically a professional title search is done by an attorney so they can dig up who actually owns the property. I figure you're probably gonna end up in a procurement situation between 10 and 50,000, which means you're probably gonna be eligible for this to go out to an invitation for bids, which is the lesser of the two processes. You don't have to go out to a full request for proposal.
What is the
process.
threshold on that?
10 to 50,000.
Yeah.
So, in that threshold, you simply have to find 3 qualified bidders, put together a scope, and send it to those prospective bidders, because it's such a common task. And then if the bids come in, you then get to accept the lowest bid that comes in on those, and then basically sign the contract and get them started. So I will be, I have that list there of the 10 closest engineering firms that have PLSs available to them, and then it would be about finding someone associated with their PLS at those firms. I've worked in engineering consulting firms like that. Typically, someone on staff can also handle the title search as well. So it would be a one line item project that would have to be done for an IFB or invitation for bids.
Okay.
Stephen, can I ask, I think 2 meetings ago when I was here, one of the residents said it might have already been done with what Parks was doing. Do you know if there was any sort of stuff the town had on record for, pre-existing, survey or title stuff from?
Anything that we would have had would have been on file here at Town Hall. So, obviously with this being a current issue, I didn't find anything that was within the last 5 years, I'll put it that way, as far as a plan. And typically you want things to be current. I know things probably haven't changed out there.
Yeah.
As far as bounds or property changes, but, to have it all done by one firm and tie it all cohesively together and then be able to do the title search correctly is gonna be the key piece here.
So just remind me, if we were to move down this path and we were to secure allowing bids to be placed, we're under no obligation to move forward with those bids if they come back and spend that X amount of money that's not in the budget so I don't think it's any harm in digging in here.
Yep.
Sure.
Keeping it open as an option, seeing what the numbers come back at, and in the meantime, we can ask Parks specifically if they believe they have had a survey done.
Yeah.
10 years ago, 2 years ago, 12 years ago, we can ask.
I thought they were awarded money for improvements down there, and I thought some of the spending they
Okay.
did
Part of it was the
was,
survey.
was the survey.
So let's,
I'm pretty sure
well,
that
let's,
was-
before we spend, let's
Right.
dig in and double check. But I don't think that should preclude us from moving forward on a bid here as an option.
Yeah.
Moving forward,
I agree.
just to keep things moving, just to
Yep.
keep it as an option.
I agree.
Okay, before we put that to a vote, I know there are other people here on the same issues. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the survey itself before we move on to the boat ramp and other issues? Just about the survey and the title work that we're talking about. Any questions on that scope before we move on? Okay. Other questions about the boat ramp, Lincoln Street in general? Is that Christian?
Yeah, so I,
Just name and address, sir,
45 13th Avenue.
and your name?
Um,
Your name?
Is that Christian Johnston?
Okay.
I've been living over there for about 10 years now with my wife. She's lived there her whole life with her dad. We took the house over when her dad passed away. I've been using that boat ramp since I was a little kid because I've lived in Halifax since my whole life. And obviously we closed the boat ramp because there's been a lot of out-of-town use. There's been a lot of chaos, a lot of trash. I've had my significant problems there. My boat has been ran into last year by a jet ski. I almost got hit by a jet ski last year. One of my trucks was hit last year. So I get the problem. I get wanting to close the ramp, but it's still, obviously there's signs at the end of the ramp that says for town use residents. All town residents that have a beach sticker could also get a code with their beach sticker, beach pass, and just put a code lock on the gate that's already across. I get the fire department and the police need their own lock, but if we just double lock it or put a lock at the other end, then we can be able to use it again. Going over to the ramp on 58, like myself right now, I'm actually supposed to be at work, but I told my boss it was gonna be late. I've been working a lot of doubles, so whenever I get the chance, I hop in my John boat, I go put it in the water, me and my kid go out there, eat a pizza, throw a line a few times, and then I gotta get off the water. I'm spending 45 minutes putting my boat in, another 45 minutes getting it out, waiting for people. Usually I'm in and out in about 1 to 2 minutes, and I've always used the ramp. I don't think there should really be a reason it's closed, and especially if nobody knows who actually owns it right now, who's to say it should be closed if nobody owns it? But I like the idea of the gate. It's helping a lot. The neighborhood has been a lot quieter, there's been a lot less problems, there hasn't been trash over there. But I don't know what's stopping us from just putting a simple combination lock with a code for the residents.
Okay, is that,
And my only other thing was, now you gotta figure out how to address problems if people start giving the code up.
well, that was where I was gonna go. I believe this,
My,
go ahead.
my solution that me and Jamie thought of is, it's a three strike system. The first time it gets changed, if it finds out a bunch of out-of-towners are using it. If it gets found out again, it's becoming a problem again, it should be shut down for X amount of months until we can give it another try. Because there needs to be consequences if people are sending people in Fall River the code and everyone's just coming down using the ramp again. But that was, when you get the beach sticker as a resident, it comes through an email address. So somebody has the database to send out a code with the sticker, in my opinion. But that's kind of where we were at with that. It just kind of stinks that it's not there because the other boat ramp that's on 11th Ave that we paid for to use, that boat ramp got closed years ago for this same issue. And they planted plants across.
Yeah, there's not even a ramp there. There's no, I drove by.
It's still there.
Right, but you can't get to it.
It's zoned as
Right,
a ramp,
right.
but somebody put a bunch of stuff in
Yeah,
front.
Yeah.
said I'll fix
There's
that.
like a flower,
If
like
you
a,
guys gave me the A-OK to open that back up, I'd open that back up and just not even touch the 11th, 4th Ave, but.
yeah, I know when we talked about this back in, was it June, July, it's all blending together. You know, we had talked about doing this as a temporary measure through Labor Day. I believe this option was discussed at the time, about not so much about the beach sticker, but a combination lock.
Yeah.
You know, I'm interested to hear, you say that things are substantially more quiet for any number of reasons.
I have gotten signatures as well, so a lot of people that are fine with it. Mark Dillon, Steve Goodman, Dave Marcio, all the people that came to the last meeting
Okay.
are all in agreement with this.
That's a bunch of riffraff. I don't know about those guys.
It's just all the people that wanted something to change.
And
so-
something did change, you know, something did change, and I
We
think
are
it's,
happy with it.
for a number of, you know, it's worked, I think, substantially, for a number of reasons. Maybe this is part of the reason, maybe not all of it, but, I mean, I would be subject to the logistics of it. I'd be interested in kicking the tires on it. And that being said, we only have this moratorium for the boat ramp to be locked
For another 3
for another
weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
This is our last, second to last meeting before then.
Before it goes.
So, I mean, I don't know,
Again, I know it's not a long time, I know it's not a huge problem, it's just something that right now is like the best time of the year to go out in the water. Me
Yep.
and my kid are always out there. Right now, both beaches are closed, so I can't even go in the water with them unless I go away from the beach.
yeah.
Because one's for E. coli, which keeps coming back up, which there's talk that it might be a septic system leaking into the water. And then the other one, I don't even know what that one's closed for right now. Nobody does. Everyone's been trying to figure it out. There's conflicting signs and.
On which?
On the big beach. Fourth
Fourth
Ave.
Ave, Fourth Ave.
That one's closed right now for, I don't even know what the sign says. I forget
No, I
exactly
thought he
what
was
it
gonna
says.
go change that sign. I did talk to the Board of Health, and he was gonna go down there and move the sign. He put it on the wrong, the wrong sign was put up. The private beach that is supposed to have the sign on it, but not Lincoln Street. And
Okay.
that
So
was
just a
supposed to get changed.
confusion
That's
of the
all.
wrong
It was
beach.
just a confusion, yeah.
Okay.
So they were gonna change that.
Do we know how many beach parking permits stickers were?
Oh, I'd have to look inside the system.
It's like a ballpark? Is it 10? Is it 50? Is it 200?
Capped at 40,
One,
right?
117, 107, yeah.
So we have record of who's, got those and so forth.
And 4 of those are mine.
I probably want to have both police and fire weigh in on this before I did anything,
Right.
because they're still going to need,
We got Chief there and Ted.
they're going to need, what do they call that, the knock spot?
Not spots.
Yeah, I mean, Christian, it's a good idea, and we actually initially thought of doing something similar, but again, it was the question of how soon before that combination spreads like wildfire.
And
you
that's
know?
where I came up with
And
this
that's-
3-strike system to give it a
Yeah.
try. I mean, anything just to be able to use the ramp again, because it kind of
Yeah.
stinks that it's a Halifax amenity that
Sure.
I've had since I was living here as a kid. I used to go out there when I was 4 years old with
Yeah.
dad in the canoe, and we
Yeah.
always used that ramp.
Yeah, no,
And now all of a sudden, it's just.
it's not
closed.
there. No, we were put in a tough spot because we wanted to obviously not limit your access, but we needed to do it out of safety, I thought.
And we talked about small steps, and we thought this was a small step, not just closing it down. It was
Temporary.
temporary.
Yeah.
Sir, name and address?
I just thought it was a situation he's talking
That's
about.
Joe.
Joe, just
Joe
name and
Favor.
address, sir?
Joe Favor.
66 Glen Boss Road. It might cost a little bit more money, but you might be able to put like a pass card, electronic, no code. When you buy your pass card, you use the beach ramp, it's electronic.
Like with a chip or something?
Little chip, it opens the gate.
That's not a terrible idea,
But then you're building a,
Yeah,
you're
then
building
but then you
an
have
arm
to
gate
obstruct,
and
you have something that's physically there.
everything. We just got the, we just got the
This was
rope.
more so just temporary.
Yeah.
Would be the throw.
The other thing in play here, and we talked about this at the last meeting, is that these discussions are productive and well-served. They need to happen in April, March and April, in the lead up to the June, Memorial Day lead up to the summer. What we're doing now is reactive rather than being proactive and searching for a solution. So, I mean, I don't disagree with the unfortunate sense that residents can't use what
Yeah.
is rightfully theirs. They've come to learn and, know as a way of life. I don't like denying that. I mean, I would be okay with reaching out to each police and fire to determine if this is a feasible and safe way to do it, and then figure out how to distribute the email addresses and get somebody the code. I don't know, Christian, that it's going to happen tonight, in terms of, that getting done. I mean, I would be okay on kicking the tires. The last time this happened, the lock was put back on within minutes by the police department. I'd have to think that if we did this, and it was something as simple as the combination lock in your hands, and it was a list that Caesar or somebody else could effectively send out, subject to police and fire's approval. I'm just leery about approving any change where we looped in police and fire at the
Yeah,
outset.
right. Pam,
That's
do we
all.
have email addresses for folks that have beach stickers?
Yeah,
Do we
there's
ask for
phone numbers,
those
yeah, they have to go
phone
through,
numbers
like,
in?
when they sign up, they do put their phone number in.
We'd have a way to get a hold of them.
Yeah.
And it's how many people?
About 117.
It's a lot of phone calls.
So
I mean, we could do it contingent on fire and police approval tonight if we wanted to do it that way.
Any questions or comments from the group? Yes.
Mark Dillon, 30 Lincoln Street. To your point of the, day late, dollar short kind of situation, I think what this does, though, it does give us a proof of concept going forward. It may be something as simple as this gate that we have. One end is for municipalities, one end is for residents. If we need it, we put it up, and then residents, municipalities still have their access. Is it necessarily the perfect solution? It may be, it may not be. But it does give us another option if things like that gate become cost prohibitive. And this is such a simple solution, I think it would work. The other thing I would definitely hazard to is with the list of people who do have that beach sticker, be limited only to the residents. I think that's the key to preventing it from being just a wildfire out there. And again, it
But
doesn't mean
so-
it's not gonna, but.
So, and you finish, I'm sorry, Mark, go ahead.
No, that's
So, I mean, I like being able to pivot from a previous decision. I think, we did that in June or July to head off some safety concerns and other things. I think we would be remiss if we didn't take an opportunity to review it with new information and other options available. My concern is going to be, and I brought it up at the last meeting as well, I'm a resident. Let's pretend I have a beach sticker permit, and I'm one of the 117. And it's my cousin who is in town from Maine. I'm with him. It's in his truck. Can we go in? Can his truck and his boat and his ramp go in?
Doesn't have a beach sticker, can't go.
I was gonna say, if it doesn't have a sticker, you shouldn't be on the
Who's
road.
looking at
Okay, but I'm with him, and I have the sticker.
Is it on your vehicle?
Nope.
Then you can't go
On
on.
you.
I have the combination though. I just think it gets incredibly difficult to regulate when you limit it.
But the problem is when you get down there and you drive down there, you see a boat with a trailer, and if the cops have to go down there for whatever reason, they walk up to the window, there's no resident sticker in it.
Yeah.
So now it's an issue.
Well, the police and the enforcement guys are not there 24/7. You ever go to Duxbury Beach? There's multiple checkpoints before you get to Saquosh. There's gates, there's guards, there's people checking everything. We don't have that bandwidth to do that. We don't have that capability. My concern is when you limit it, which I agree is the purpose, the enforcement of it becomes difficult. Who is allowed, who is not, what exceptions are being made, that becomes the issue. Because the code, if nobody's down there, if it's Saturday morning at 7:30 and my cousins are coming to town, my brother's in town, I give him the code, he puts his boat ramp in, comes back, parks the car, he's used 4th Street, boat ramp illegally, but I gave him the code. Does that strike one? How do we regulate that? That's my concern, is putting this in place.
We're hoping it's a trust system. We're hoping that it works right and people aren't doing that kind of thing.
Okay.
Because I can tell you, for one, I usually go down there with people, but I'm not going to be doing that because I don't want to lose ramp access. I'd rather be able to lose ramp access and make my friends go put in 58.
How many locks do you think you'd replace?
I just think,
I mean, I could go down there right now and cut it in half and I could put my boat in. Who's to yell at me if you guys are saying there's no authority down there?
no, that's true. You could do
You
that.
know what I mean?
There could be cameras down
It's just hard, because I've been using that ramp every day. I mean, I use it 3-4 times a week, all the time. And now it's just closed, because you guys say that people like it. But I have many people that say they don't like the fact we can't use it.
Well, in fairness, and again, I'm on your side here, I'm amenable to being open to change. The people you referenced that signed it were some of the most vocal people in asking for help. So the fact that there's a change here is not on this side of the table. We were available to try to help. We were amenable to open to help, and we worked with what we thought was the prevailing thought down there. Jonathan and I, Stephen as well, and Pam, we actually ran into Pam one night down there. Stephen and I did. We've been down there. We try to be present. We try to understand what's going on. It's not perfect. My only concern in all this, and I don't mean to belabor the point, is if you can't enforce the rule, it becomes very difficult, and the rule has no purpose. My concern, though, is that we've made a black and white situation with very little wiggle room and no gray, which is always difficult.
But I mean, yeah.
So I was just gonna say, it's August 11th, right? We're what, 3.5 weeks to Labor Day, right? What if we use these 3.5 weeks as a trial run with this combination lock system to see if it works, to see if it's a viable solution, so that, to your point, Tom, when the calendar turns over and it's May, we can say, hey, we did that at the end of the summer last year and it worked. Let's go forward with that, or we try it for these last 3 weeks. It's a miserable failure,
Well,
and we know we don't have to.
Does the boat ramp ever, educate me, does the boat ramp ever close? Is it closed for November 1st to March?
Completely
No.
out, because
Right.
I hung out there all-
It's just open. We're just using the summer and fall months as an
Yeah,
example of
it's
when it might be
the
busy.
The more busy months.
I mean, I'm okay with it, subject to police and fire, but the other thing is, that's 117 phone calls and emails that somebody has to Right, I'd be interested to learn if there's a blast we can put out and group these emails and phone numbers in. I don't know if that's a Caesar question or rather than have Pam or somebody make 117 phone calls.
Sure.
Saying, hey, the combination is, 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3,
I just-
4.
I'm just concerned about wasting anybody's time and efforts if there's an easier way to do it. I think we should start with police and fire. There may be another Board of Selectmen meeting prior to 2 weeks from tonight, given other circumstances.
Yep.
Or likely, could
Yep.
be. So why don't we, appropriate to make a motion contingent on police and fire in a subsequent discussion, Stephen? Or should we just wait and take it up at the next meeting entirely?
Wait.
That's why.
My vacations are over, I'll be here in 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, I'll be
All
here
right,
too.
so why don't we table it with the understanding that we're likely to meet again before the 25th, and we'll put it on that agenda item. In the meantime, in the run-up to that meeting, Christian, we'll talk to police and fire about the viability and, safety and enforcement of it. We'll also get with Caesar and/or the powers that be. 1 second, Chief, Deputy Chief. We'll get with Caesar about how to email blast or phone blast the list about getting a potential combination lock out there. And at our next meeting, we can take it up on the agenda item for a vote.
Makes sense to me.
So we'll move it along without a vote tonight, but we'll go behind the scenes and get everything necessary for a vote to determine if it's possible.
Do you want me to hang on this for now, or?
Yeah, we can hang on to that.
You got Ted with his
Yes,
hand.
sir, Mr. Benner.
So just to let you guys know, that the police really has no opinion on it. If the residents decide that they want it open,
Parks.
we have no issue with that. The issue that we have is when we're getting 5 to 10 calls a day, when people are saying that non-residents are using the ramp. So as far as the combination lock goes, if that's the route that the board wants to take, there's already a combination lock on it that can be done. Like you said, someone would have to send out an email with the number, but that can be done within days.
Okay.
And the elephant in the room, do we need to run this by parks? Parks are in charge of our parks.
Did we not, I don't believe we ran the last enforcement action through
But
Parks.
they were at least part of the dialogue. Do we?
So why don't we continue with the plan that I laid out
Yep.
about putting it on the next meeting in the interim, inviting Parks to that meeting.
Yep,
Check with the fire chief, check with the logistics of getting that email out, those phone numbers out, what that would take from Caesar or whoever,
yep,
and put it on the next item, which again will happen again inside of 2 weeks.
yep.
Unless you want to, the bottom line is it's Tuesday night even if Chief Witham was on the call and we had unilateral authority and approval from police and fire, getting the information out, we're not,
Yeah, we're not set up.
it's
for
not
it.
going to be set up for tomorrow regardless. So why don't we work behind the scenes to effort what that would take and go from there? Yes, sir.
Just Jim Walters, Orchard Circle. Just a comment.
Yeah.
I don't live over in that area, but for 20 days that's left until the lock comes off, is the level of effort you're talking about really, is the juice worth the squeeze there?
Well, I think two things on it. I want to figure out how much work it is for Caesar or somebody else to make 120 phone calls. If it's possible to avoid that, that'd be great. But I'm sensitive to the fact that people are used to a way of life down there, and I don't want to rob them, quote unquote, of their enjoyment of the area that they live in. If the effort is minimal and the impact can be estimated, and we always have the right to reverse course and say, you know what, strike one, strike three, you know what, forget it, it's not worth it. 12 phone calls on a Saturday afternoon to the police department isn't going to make this a good decision. We can revisit it. That would be my opinion. My opinion would be to keep all options open.
Yeah,
So
no,
I'd like
I
to see
agree.
what Caesar has to say, or somebody has to say about getting database emails and phone numbers out. Is it, those robocalls that go out to residents?
Yeah.
Is it as simple as putting those numbers in, there's a phone number, call us back,
Hitting the button.
hit the button? Or-
Yeah, no, if I was in Christian's spot and I, went out on my boat with my son, had pizza a couple nights a week, I want to make sure that we can try to do that if there's.
I agree.
you
I
know.
agree.
So I want to be sensitive to everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, and again, I don't mind doing this as an experiment to see, where instead of trying it in May and realizing it's a failure, we have to pivot in the middle of summer
Yeah.
next year. let's try it now and see
Yeah,
if we have good
and I just think we
information.
would be, too hard nosed to dig in and say that September 8th is what we decided, let's stick with it. I think let's evaluate the options that are available on the table, and if it makes sense to lift that September 8th Labor Day decision before and move it up, because of the viability of what Christian's suggesting, I think we should be open to that.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on that? Okay, so we will make sure that this is on the next agenda item for the next Board of Selectmen meeting. In the meantime, we'll check with the fire chief if he has any questions or concerns. We will double check on the email or phone blast and see what that entails, and potentially purchase a lock. And like Deputy Chief Benner said, it's fairly quick and easy for them to do. Last time they did it within 20 minutes, and we'll go from there.
Yep.
So I don't think any motion is necessary tonight. We'll just put it on the next agenda item, whenever that is, Pam. If it's before the regularly scheduled 25th, we'll put it on that. We'll put it on the next one. Okay? All right, Christian. Thank you.
Thank you guys
Thank you,
for
yeah.
getting to work, so I appreciate
All right.
the time.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Yes, sir.
Daily and Dollar Short again. Would it,
No.
No. Too late.
just gonna throw out, what if we just lock it for the weekend? Open it up for the week, see if we see an influx of people, you lock it on the weekend. Obviously, that does give Deputy Chief or whomever an extra job that he's gonna do, and unless you wanna.
So you're saying
One of us.
lock it up Friday night, 8 o'clock, and
Yeah.
unlock it Monday morning?
Yeah, I understand, I mean, I was one of the most vocal, but I understand the need for people to get on the water. Water is why we moved where we moved.
Yeah.
I don't want to stop him. I don't want it to become a bigger problem, but we gotta see where that balance point is.
Yep, I agree. But my only concern with that, Mark, is for the guy who works, Monday through Friday. Hey, I can only get on my boat on Saturday. Now what?
Fair.
It's not a bad idea. I'm open to all of these ideas.
I just know a lot of the people that have used that boat ramp in the past, himself included, it's through the week that a lot of them are using it. Because you couldn't use it on the weekend anyways.
Because it was too busy?
It was just too stinking busy,
Okay.
too dangerous to get
But
there.
now if it's not, maybe they will.
Maybe they will.
So let's look at that as another option. We can put that on discussion for next. We didn't motion anything, so let's run it to ground with the fire chief. Let's run it to ground with Caesar like we discussed, and take it up. In this time next meeting.
Sure.
Good? Okay. Not a bad. No idea's a bad one. Let's find the middle ground.
Well, some ideas are bad.
So we take back our no. Anybody else here for anything specific? Okay, we'll just keep going down the line. I'm terrible on the pages here.
Aye.
I know, but what
It's
page?
the green one.
Yeah.
Click on that right there. Yeah, and then find the green one.
Green, okay, we have a town hall green use submitted by the Halifax Beautification Committee and Shirley Graff. They are asking for access to the town hall on, what I assume is Saturday, October 10th, although I'm not 100% on that.
Yep, 10th.
Saturday, October 10th, and Saturday, October 10th, and Sunday, October 11th. Saturday is 9 to 4, and Sunday is 1 to 4. From approximately 8:45 to 12:45. They are doing a town-wide fall cleanup to removing litter along the roadways and town open spaces. There will be a pizza party at noon on Saturday. This is fairly standard. I assume this is what they call the fall cleanup, the litter busting.
Yep.
We encourage everyone to attend. There'll be no sale of any food. The pizza will be provided. Typically, it's donated by a local generous vendor, and there'll be no DJ. It's bring your trash barrel, bring your yellow vest, and be ready to help out. Any questions or concerns on that?
No, it's like nothing else is going on that weekend, Pam, right?
Nope, I already put her on the calendar.
All right.
All right, okay. That being said, I will make a motion to approve the application to the use of town hall. Oh, they did want the town hall open for the use of bathrooms as well. I just wanted to state that. That's also standard. I will make a motion to approve the Halifax Town Hall Green for the Halifax Beautification Committee as printed and requested on October 10th from 9 to 4 and October 11th from 1 to 4.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay. The next one is, I don't know if I just announced this is happening. So we have a resignation from the Conservation Committee. One of our members, Edward Harworth, has resigned effective immediately. This would happen in late July. So effective now, we do have an opening on the Concom. So I would probably suggest, similar to the dates and deadlines that we've set forth earlier this evening, to open the talent bank application forms.
Well, I think right now they do have an associate member, so what they do is they see if the associate member wants to move up. So
Okay.
I can ask Peggy if she's gotten in contact with the associate member.
Okay,
If not,
and if the associate member does decide to move up, we would then be accepting talent bank applications for the associate member?
It's
All right.
usually how it goes.
So why don't we table that, ask Peggy where we stand on the associate member moving up, and add this to the next meeting agenda item, whenever that meeting is?
Mr. Chair, if we could,
Yep.
sending of a letter to thank
Absolutely.
Ed for his time.
Yep, let's send a letter from the town of Halifax thanking him for his time on the committee. Okay, are you, Jonathan, good with tabling that till our next meeting?
Yep.
Finding out from, this, administrative assistant Peggy, where we stand on the associate member wanting to move up.
Correct.
We good on that, Pam? And then we'll put that on our next meeting as well. Good?
Great.
Okay. Did we want to touch on K, or has that already been, what do you want to do there, Stephen, on the memo from the Commonwealth? Local earmarks, or did Ken adequately adjust it?
Ken covered it.
Yep, so, for those that weren't here earlier, we had Representative Ken Sweezy and a member from Representative Lenatra's office. Kathy Lenatra could not make it tonight. She had another obligation in one of our other communities, but Ken was here. There was a slideshow, 10 or 15-minute presentation about local, state issues, local aid, Chapter 70, Chapter 90 funding. He also indicated some local earmarks that had been approved. They include $50,000 for the roof replacement at the Holmes Public Library, $16,500 and change for the telephone system at the Halifax Elementary School, and $90,000 for the testing and treatment of cyanobacteria and other contaminants in Mont Ponce Pond, and a $50,000 earmark to the Halifax Council on Aging staff and general operations. Those are earmarks that we're working with our representatives, Ken and Kathy, on moving them back. They were issued with an original deadline ending.
No, those are for
Those are for next year.
Those are for
Yeah,
27.
we have another meeting on, okay, yep, there's a confluence there. So, Ken announced those tonight. He also announced the local aid increases of what, 2.3%?
Yeah, around 2 to 3%.
On certain things.
UGA,
And Ken acknowledged that Halifax's issues with budgetary constraints are not unique to Halifax. All 5 of his towns had overrides, some passed, some failed. A lot of towns are in the same position, and it's not necessarily all a local problem. There's a number of circumstances. He was against the governor's budget. He voted no to that effect, looking for more, and representing that 3% wasn't quite enough for Halifax. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but this was recorded in Area 58, and he did speak at length to
that was accurate.
So I think we're okay with skipping that. Any questions on that? Ken or Kathy's representative being here tonight? Okay. We'll move down to signature authority forms. We have a number of them. Do we have to vote on this, or is this just acknowledging that they've been received?
Yeah, you guys have to sign the bottom.
All right, so I will make a motion to approve. Oh, actually, do you have any questions on any of these?
Nope.
Any questions about the line signature authority forms from different department heads? Okay, so we have one from the Council on Aging, from Darlene Regan. Her alternate will be Lindsay Martinelli. The Town Clerk's Office, Susan Lawless. The alternate is Jennifer Carr, the assistant. The Library is Dylan Benoit. In his absence or inavailability, Megan Erickson. The Health Department is Robert Bucher. The backup is Margaret Seltzer. Maintenance and School Building Committee is Scott Materna. Backup is Susan Johnston. Recycle and Solid Waste, Steve Hayward. Again, the backup is Susan Johnston. And that is all of them.
Yeah, do we make motions individually or lump them all together? What do you want to do?
I'm no expert. Let's do them all together, and if we have to do them again, we'll do them again. I will make a motion to approve the signature authority line items as stated for the Council on Aging, the Town Clerk, the Library, Board of Health, Municipal and School Building Committee, and Recycling and Solid Waste as printed.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Okay. We've gotten to Roxy. We talked about Roxy retiring. Yep, I was just going to circle back to Stephen. I will need some assistance on this one. I'm no expert on bonds. But we have a release bond request from Edward Johnson on Elm Street on this. And this has to do,
Okay, this is for a street opening to install a triple valve to bring water main into Amanda's Way. We've had this bond
for a number of years.
for a number of years. Well, so each year the bond is up, and I asked Ed Johnson to submit another bond, and we just continue. Well, he sold the property last year, unbeknownst to us. So now this other gentleman owns the land, the street or whatever, the development. So what Steve is looking for is like a smooth transition from Amanda's Way on.
To Elm Street. He wants the pavement to be smooth, yes.
Steve is going to contact the new owner to let him know what he wants, and he will get a bond from
Okay.
him. So what Ed's asking for is to release his bond, because he no longer owns the property.
Okay. So, given the superintendent of the highway department's request, given that pending item, would it make most sense to table this item and not release the bond until Steve's request has been satisfied?
But it doesn't matter, because this bond is not in effect, because he doesn't own the property.
Well, the bond wasn't in effect this time last year either, and we renewed it.
So we did get, we did get a bond on July 11th.
And
In 2025,
he sold it on July
It's like 20-something.
21st, yeah.
Yeah. So that was.
So is there any advantage to us holding on to this? I know he doesn't own the property, but do we have an established bond with the new owner
I
currently?
didn't even know, I just
No.
found out.
So
We
that,
have
to
no
me, that
bond.
makes me very nervous
Right.
that we're going to release our bond with the previous owner and don't have a bond in place for the
Correct.
new owner.
Correct.
But it
That-
doesn't matter, because the bond here that we have with Ed Johnson, it expires on July 13th,
But-
2026.
But wouldn't part, and I'm not a real estate guy, and there might be real estate folks here, wouldn't part of that sale be that that bond transfers over to the new owner?
It can, because you can't insure anything. Bond is basically an insurance, it's insurance backups, Plan B.
Correct.
You can't own something, you can't have an insurance policy on something you don't own.
Correct.
You don't have an insurable interest in the properties, or so that bond has no effect. I can't take an insurance policy on your house, I don't own it.
Correct.
My concern, if putting something in the paper, is absent acknowledgement of Steve's request, we have no recourse. In other words, the highway department is asking for
Correct.
something to be done.
And he says, go pound sand.
At that point, there's no enforcement there. We don't own the current bond. We have no relationship with the current owner. Our teeth in this game is the prior owner who has a secured interest in the bond being released.
Correct.
So that would be my comment.
So I would be hesitant to release until we get that other situation squared
That
away.
would be my first thought. Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
Yeah, Van Dalen, Cranberry Drive. Just listening to that too, why in title search did that not come up? That was a hole on the property that either had to be satisfied or the owner had to take control. I don't know the documents that they've signed, but to me, just walking out of that on a property sold, something doesn't make sense to me. It should be either satisfied before the property changes hands or the new owner takes control of that. That's what my thought process was.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Because generally speaking, the bond can transfer to how it's written. This is a surety bond, so I mean, there's a power of attorney, and sometimes the power of attorney is written where it does transfer to the new owner. That's a 40-page situation.
Yeah, no, it is.
I'm no expert on bonds.
Again, Tom, I would be hesitant to release it until we get,
Well, I agree, and I don't think Steve's request, and I mean Steve, the highway department superintendent, I don't think his request is anything substantial. Let me just look at it quickly again. It's on page 42. One place for holding the final coating of asphalt. As part of the final paving, the roadway should have a smooth and proper transition from Amanda Way onto Elm Street, which is a public street. The previous owner did address and correct the issues that were present, but the final cost has not been put down. And I'd like to make sure that when they do the top coat for the final payment, provides a smooth transition to Elm Street.
what about this here? Spoke with Ed, he sold the property to Jason Kennedy before selling property. He did grind and repair it.
He did grind and repair it, but that's on 6/28/26, and Steve's letter is dated August 10th, which is yesterday.
Okay.
So whatever happened in June, and I assume Steve looked at it yesterday when he wrote the letter.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he still wasn't satisfied, so, I mean, I wouldn't want to go over the superintendent's head and
Yeah.
trust the June say so. Yes, sir.
Just gonna say Van Dalen, Cranberry Drive. Just thinking, is there a gap maybe in the bonds that we're accepting and approving for the future? And maybe that we should have something set in there that this is gonna change before the sale of the property or the owner takes control of that. Either that or you can't sell the property until this is.
Yeah, no,
I would think that would
Be,
be
right.
the most logical.
well, that's what you would, I think that's what you would,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's exactly what I
yeah,
said, yeah.
that's a good way to put it though, because,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a tie-in. It's
Yeah.
effectively a lien on the property. You can't sell it with an active lien, so I mean.
like back taxes.
Right, so, given that, and then Steve's letter dated yesterday, I don't know if you have any input on that, I would be more comfortable, again, not to punt it, but to table it.
Yeah.
We've already gone 13 months with it being in effect, I'm not sure another week is gonna,
Yeah.
and if Steve signs off on it, that says he's satisfied with the work that was done in June, I would be okay with it.
Yeah, sure.
So why don't we get in touch with Steve, have him,
he's on vacation. But
So we can do it the next meeting, or worst case, 2 weeks from now. Because technically speaking, I don't want to speak to it, but, if you sell a house and you don't tell your insurance company that you sell the house, they can backdate the refund from when you've overpaid to the date that you sold the house.
Correct.
Once you have no insurable interest, you're not supposed to be paying anything into insurance, and effectively a bond is a backup insurance plan. So I would say the owner would be refunded in full, back to the date of sale, would be my thought, regardless of when it's processed, today, tomorrow, or September. So, okay, table it, good?
Table it.
Okay, skipping ahead to P, possible appointment, and I apologize if you were waiting for this all night, you didn't speak up. Here. Possible appointment of the Finance Committee member to the Capital Planning Committee. Last night's Finance Committee meeting, they appointed member Frank Johnston to be the Capital Planning Liaison from the Finance Committee. They did also at that meeting reference a backup, which is not necessarily needed for our paperwork, but Frank will be the appointee from the Finance Committee for that.
Solid choice.
And second to last, the approval of the contract for cold planing and in-place bituminous from Bannon Paving LLC. Stephen, you want to jump in here for me?
Yeah, so this was a request for proposals put out by the Highway Department for cold planing of a roadway. I didn't know what cold planing was until I did this RFP and they helped develop the scope, and just never heard the term like that before. I'd heard bituminous before, but I hadn't heard the term cold planing. So yeah, we went through the process of redoing the RFP, getting it up on beacon bids and combis. First, we had some issues with the account on combis specifically, but Kathy Garland was big in helping that out, Steve Hayward. The bids came in, they opened the bids. This is the vendor who won the bid with the lowest bid that came in, meeting the scope and the requirements that are needed in order to meet the minimum requirements for the vendor. And now, we need you guys to simply sign off on, I also need to sign off, but you guys need to approve and sign off on the contract.
and town council already did.
And we already have town council.
Town council.
So.
Okay.
But yeah, so this went according to plan, just a typical standard RFP.
Have we ever used this company before? Do we know? Pam, is it familiar to you?
No, it's
They're out of Rockland, I think?
Out of Rockland.
Yeah.
Local enough?
Yeah, so
The town council has signed off, and I have no specific concerns, low bid for the work.
No, low bid, town council signed, Steve's okay with it, those three are good for me.
Satisfies procurement, all that stuff?
Yep.
Okay. I will make a motion to approve the contract for cold planing and in-place bituminous to work with Bannon Paving LLC.
Second that.
All those in favor? Aye, unanimous. Okay. There will be no active town administrator report tonight, so the last item on our agenda, before we get to any public participation and comments, will be to discuss how to proceed relative to the recruitment and appointment of an interim town administrator and to take any necessary or desirable actions in furtherance of those objectives. So there's been some, there's probably a number of people who have certain levels of knowledge about all this. We're going to be going through a transition here shortly. We did have numerous meetings between ourselves, legal counsel, and Stephen. I don't know if you want to jump in now or not, or you want to have Jonathan and I speak first?
yeah, you guys.
Okay. So there's going to be a time shortly where we're going to move separate ways with Stephen. Stephen's been with us since January. Some ups and some downs. I want to thank him for keeping his head down and being professional through the downs. There were some challenges along the way. The last town meeting, for a number of reasons, went much more smoothly than the last one, and I think that should be acknowledged. His dedication and time and effort in the lead up to it, preparation for it, should be acknowledged, and even in the noise that has become the last several weeks, since certain things have been posted online and certain rumors have been coming out, he has kept his head down, he has represented us well, worked hard for this board and for Pam. I think the people in town hall would largely stipulate to that. So I'd like to thank him. I'm disappointed that it won't work out. I understand the reasons that it hasn't worked out, and I certainly wish him well, but I'd like to just get it out there that from my position only, the fact that he's leaving has not interrupted his dedication and time that he's put in with the effort he's put forth. I've enjoyed working with him on a personal level. I wish him well. I don't think it's not working out for any other reason than he may allude to. It wasn't for lack of effort. This is a difficult position, and it's in a sometimes difficult town, and a difficult time, to be honest with you. We have a lot going on. Elephant in the room when Ken was here was the MBTA. We were very strong on that. Absent grants, absent new growth, there's significant challenges. A lot was thrown on his plate for May. He didn't have as much help from other people on this side of the table that he might have been afforded. I think we've owned that. I think the board and others have accepted responsibility for their part in what May looked like, and I think we rebounded fairly well in July, and a lot of that was for the work that Stephen did. So I won't belabor that point, but Jonathan's going to jump in here in a second with his words, and then Stephen might allude to a couple things, and then I'll wrap up at the end. Jonathan?
Yeah, no, you hit the nail. I should have went first because you stole everything I was about to say.
Done. All right, Stephen?
No, Stephen, I want to commend you since Jump Street. He started late in the year on an override year, coming in January for a town meeting in May, being a first-time town administrator. The analogy I like to say is we asked Stephen, it's his first day of flight school, and we asked him to land the plane, and then we set the runway on fire. So, not for lack of effort, he put in more than his fair share of time. Former Halifax guy, wanted to do good, and to Tom's point, is still trying to do good for Halifax. So for that, I appreciate it. I mean, we sat for fire negotiations for 3 hours today. So he's still putting in the time, still putting in the effort, and for him, it's a personal family decision, and I respect that. I have kids myself, completely respect that. So I thank you, and again, I think we chose the right guy, back in January, and I'll stand by that. And I wish you luck for whatever life has in store for you. So, as Tom says, we're going to have a transition period. We hope to get our interim, squared away sooner rather than later, and ideally to have Stephen help that interim get their feet under them so we don't lose a lot of time, because as you guys know, we're looking to have a special town meeting hopefully in the fall. So once again, whoever comes in here is once again going to have to hit the ground running. So I appreciate Stephen willing to kind of stick around to try to help with who we have coming in to help steer the ship. So yeah, that's really all I have right now. Stephen, I don't know if you have any words of wisdom.
No, thanks for that, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, I came into this job saying I would be fully transparent. I'll be fully transparent with everybody right now. This has nothing to do with the residents of Halifax. Has nothing to do with the issues of Halifax. Has nothing to do with the boards and committees of Halifax. Has nothing to do with my current compensation. Has nothing to do with the lack of support or over support, because these three guys that sit up here want the best for Halifax at the end of the day. Their unwavering support and progress and desire for progress for this town cannot be short-sighted. The staff in this building is second to none, and they should be treated as such. For the amount of work that the folks do in this town, in this staff, I've been in a number of places as a staff member and as a department head and as an executive team member. The amount of work that you get out of the people in this building is amazing, and they should be appreciated a little bit more, to be honest. Again, this is a personal decision only. My skin is as thick as it gets. That's what you get with a person that's been in recovery for 13 years. You're not gonna, bully me. You're not gonna make my life miserable based on what's said online. I'm not even on Facebook. All the Facebook stuff came to me third hand, whether it was through staff in this building or whether it was from my wife getting it second hand through her friends. My decision was made 4 weeks ago when my 5-year-old asked me why I had to work so much. So that's full transparency. I'm doing this because I didn't get to take part in my oldest daughter's life as much as I wanted to. And I'm not missing that again. So you can see how much this means. I worked very hard to get to this point, and it was a difficult decision to make because I did work so hard to get here. And you haven't seen the end of me because I'll be back in this arena again. But for my family and my wife, I have to do this now. So Has nothing to do, the residents, you, for the most part, have been great. I couldn't have asked for a better start to my TA career because I've been challenged. I've learned so many things. I've gotten to work with great people, gotten to work with a short staff, now gotten to go through an override procedure, couple town meetings, get ready for a third one, and it's gonna set me up for success in the future. My plan at this point, so everyone knows where they'll probably see me next, is probably back to my roots in environment or in some support capacity, so that I can have that flexibility and watch my littlest grow up. And when she's done growing up, you'll see me back in the arena again. So that's the full story. It's not what you hear on Facebook. It's not what you see online. It's got nothing to do with the local politics. You know, my skin is too thick to listen to the noise, because that's all it is. It's just noise. I came here to do a job. The situations on my home front changed. I was getting everything I expected here. This is a demanding job. I can respect the residents for the passion they have in their wanting to be included in their local government. I must say, I do give you a lot of props for that as a resident base, as involved as you've all been, and especially in the local legislative process. That was eye-opening. I think acoustics have a lot to do with the problems in that room. There's a lot of things that, and again, as this week closes out, which will be my final couple of days here, I do hope to, I've put together a manual to help the new person come in and transition. I don't want to leave the next person in a position where they're playing catch up. I feel like the town's gained a little bit of momentum with what's happened recently in the special town meeting, kind of resetting the table for some folks. And I want to make sure that momentum continues into the future, because at the end of the day, I signed up to leave this town better off than when I walked in the door. And I can firmly say today that I did that, even though it was a short amount of time. Sometimes these jobs come in seasons. And unfortunately, this is not the season for me to serve Halifax. So it's been a pleasure working with everybody up here behind this table, and you all out there, and everybody online. So that's the full statement. And you can write about that all on Facebook as much as you want. So.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we should have said it earlier, you know, not Pam. We're all fathers, we're all dads, so there is a balance that sometimes is difficult. We all have that in our 9-to-5 jobs and in the volunteers positions, and, you know, ultimately, we all just do the best we can, and sometimes that doesn't meet it, that sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes it is, but you suffer on the back end, and I don't think anybody can be critical of you making a personal decision like you did. So I applaud you for making it. I think, you know, there's been, like I said, I know we can't talk about executive session and so forth, but the momentum, we touched about the momentum a lot. You know, in the last 45 days, it's substantially better than the previous 45, and I think that's something to build on. Even if it's small victories, small steps, we talk about making small adjustments and moving forward one foot in front of the other next, and I think that's what we've done. So, as mentioned, Stephen will be with us for the remainder of the week. When the clock hits Saturday, what's that?
I'll be here.
He has made mention that he's available beyond that, but his last official day on the clock will be Friday, the 14th, and when the clock hits Saturday, we are looking for somebody. So Jonathan?
We are, yeah, and so when we were kind of alerted to this situation with Stephen, and he let us know what his intentions were, we had to try to come up with a plan B, you know, because we essentially didn't really have one that kind of caught us by surprise. So I will say that I do believe we have a qualified interim candidate ready to jump in. It's a former town administrator, in addition to town administrator, assistant town administrator, treasurer collector, town clerk with almost 20 years of municipal experience. The idea is we'll have this candidate in this week. No contract has been signed, but we'll have this candidate in with Stephen to finish out the rest of this week, to sit with Stephen to try to gain as much knowledge as they can, and hopefully it's a fit. I'm excited to think about the possibilities here with the idea of hopefully, if this is a fit with this candidate and this interim, at least filling out this fiscal year. So we're not going to do the thing again where we have somebody for a couple months, we let them go, and then once again we're at January, February trying to do this thing all over again.
Because the timing is very similar.
Exactly, it
So
would be
when-
the exact
so
same, you know.
We would be setting ourselves up for something
Correct.
very similar, so we're not interested.
Correct, so.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. So I think we may have lucked out a little bit on the availability of this interim candidate. And I think, at least in the short term, we should be pretty stable as far as things go.
Yes, so just to clarify a little bit what that might look like is that between now and the end of Friday, that candidate will come in, spend some time with Stephen. He mentioned it, there's a very thick and comprehensive binder that he's been working on since this news has become available. We got to look at it this morning, about the 25 or so major things that are in the pipeline, having to do with labor negotiations, having to do with legal, having to do with things that you might have heard some of tonight. So it's everything he's got on his plate.
First light on.
Yep, I agree, Chief.
Say again?
He doesn't know he's off mute.
Okay. Thanks, Chief, for the support. So I give him credit for what he's done in that regard. So what that will look like is this potential candidate will come in, not paid, no contract signed, and then if that goes well and this particular candidate is still interested, the meeting that I referenced that will happen inside of the 2-week period before our next scheduled meeting, there will be a public public interview meeting with this candidate who will be interviewed at that time. And then if that goes well, we would enter into executive session for possible contract negotiations for that. So Stephen's last official day again will be Friday. At that point, there'll be no immediate town administrator.
Correct.
We don't believe there's a necessary need for an acting town administrator at this point. I've spoken to Pam, several other department heads, conversed with Jonathan and Bill, and I think between them we can punt it along until we can find a more permanent solution. That permanent solution will be theoretically when this candidate signs up through June 30th.
Ideally, if everything goes according to plan, possibly September 1st as a start.
So we're hoping to talk about 2.5 weeks of what you see without Stephen. We do have legal counsel. We have old friends, including Stephen. I'm sure Bob Fennessy would lend a hand.
Yep.
Cody, if we had a question about opinions on how to handle something, that sort of thing. We have resources. We have Sue Lawless, who's quite experienced. And Pam's been through this a few times, so she can help us too. So that's the plan. So the candidate will be in, just to recap, the candidate will be in the next coming days to work with Stephen. At that time, if that's still a marriage that we think might be a good fit from this candidate's position, we will post a meeting, theoretically, in my opinion, for next week would be my hope.
Sooner the better.
That way we can get something in line, contract negotiations, who knows? Maybe this candidate says, nope, not for me, or maybe we say not for us, and we have to redraw it. We're not going to be married to the fact that this is our only option. This just seems like, for a number of reasons, which might become clear when you have no more information about the candidate, to be a good fit. So that's the hope, that's the plan. We'll see how the plan unfolds. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Van Dalen, 215. I will say, I thought we came a long way at this last town meeting, okay, where a lot of people got together to figure this thing out. It was openness, there was more going on at this time, so I really felt that time people were being heard. I think when they got heard, and when everybody got heard at this meeting, people felt like, I'm gonna get on the bus and let's figure this thing out as a team with smart people in the town. That was something to me where this town needs to go. So I would say, whatever you're gonna pick here, make sure it's somebody that is not a relative of somebody in the town hall or something like that, okay? And the last thing I would ask you guys, on some of the boards in the town, right? Is it okay to have brothers or cousins and everybody, like if you got 3 people on a board and you've got 2 serving, okay, that way, is that in the town meeting rules or is that?
So it depends, and I don't know specifically the example you're talking about. I don't mean to cut you off. Was that?
Not particular or anything, just.
If it's an appointed board or committee, I think there should be some consideration for that. If I had 2 twin brothers and I'm an elected official,
And there's 3 on a board.
I don't think you can have any determination that a husband and a wife couldn't serve together on the same board if elected. Elected versus appointed would be the delineation of your question, in my opinion.
All right, so maybe there just needs to be more effort put out to that effect, because I think at that point, 2 people can run out of 3.
And run it.
Yeah.
And run the show.
Anyway, I'm just throwing
Yeah,
that
no,
out.
you're not wrong.
I got questions.
Yeah, and
I'm
to your point, man, I don't think if it was an appointed position,
It would
I
go
don't want
that-
to speak for the whole board, but I don't think there'd be somebody on this board that would put relatives on the same board that.
Not on purpose, not if we knew.
Yeah.
But it's
Not if I
elected,
knew.
it's the vote of the people, and if the people want to put brothers on the same board, or husband and wife, or whatever, the
Yeah.
town elected them,
Okay.
so.
Any other questions or comments? We probably can't answer all of them, but any other questions or comments about this specific situation? Yes, sir. Name and address, my man.
Mark Dillon, 30
There you
Lincoln
go.
Street. First, thank you so much, Stephen. You did great. You helped out my neighborhood a lot. Is there any potential that this intern would be permanent eventually, or do they have like another obligation?
Yeah, no, so I think the hope is that we start September 1st, we see how things go. I think this candidate has agreed to stick around for the whole fiscal year, which is great, get us through town meeting and all that stuff, so we have time to prepare. And then maybe we circle back around April, May, if we like the candidate, if the candidate likes us. I do think there's a potential for a longer term agreement, which would be ideal.
At that point, I believe, though, we would have to put it out to
We would,
post.
yeah, we would absolutely have to
That's an
post.
official process that would
Yeah.
have to be gone through.
So we as selectmen do have the power to put an interim. As far as a permanent one, that I think we need to do a screening committee and solicit candidates and do.
And depending on what that looks like from our comfort level, that may be this, a search, that may be like an official search committee, maybe an internal screening committee. It may, we may just be so enamored with this candidate and vice versa, and the money was working out, it's perfect, that it might not, it might just be, hey, we're posting this because, this is the right thing to do in the rules and, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But we have to open it up. This one, we have the authority to unilaterally make the decision if it makes sense. But again, we haven't even interviewed this person. This is just behind the scenes. We're hopeful, but sometimes the best laid plans don't follow through. We're hopeful, but the majority of that work has to be done still. There's only been preliminary conversation, and none of which have happened with more than one of us doing the questions at the same time in the same room, because we can't do that. So I've had questions, Jonathan's had conversations, but there's been none of it in cohesion. So that will happen in public view, hopefully next week if it all works out.
And another credit to Stephen, Stephen's agreement to help out with who is going to hopefully step in. If this had gone a different way, Stephen could have said in not so many words, see you guys later. The fact that he wants to help the person coming in, wants to make sure the transition is smooth as possible. He's got a phone book worth of notes that he's going to hand off to this person. It's a testament to his character that he wants to help Halifax out, so I appreciate him for that too.
Agreed. Any other questions or comments about this issue? Okay, anything to add, sir?
No, thank you.
All right. That would conclude our agenda. Does anybody in the crowd have anything separate or different to talk about, public participation, that they'd like to bring up tonight?
I see you thinking, Joe. I see you thinking, Joe. Saw the smoke. Saw the smoke.
I thought we were talking.
Don't say the final apostrophe. On the daily activities in the town, the town hall is like the brain, right, we'll say? The activities that happen day to day, for instance, digging, are the police and fire department aware of the day's activities and what they may be responding to? Is there any way that they know what's happening day to day in the town, based upon what jobs are being done, what construction sites are being done, what buildings are being done?
On anything that requires, go ahead, finish that thought.
Or they just respond, bam, there's an emergency, we don't know, people would.
Well, I think that, and I don't know if Chief or Deputy Chief wants to speak to that more specifically, I think that's probably a combination of things that happen. There are a number of patrolmen on duty, I believe 2 at all times, who respond to the car accidents and the 911 calls and so forth. I believe anything that requires a permit in town or a road opening or anything like that with road work, there's special detail rate officers that are called in for that. Is that what you mean? Is that what you mean in terms of work being done?
Yeah.
Are they aware? I mean, I think they're acutely aware, but I'm not sure they're aware of the trees being taken down in the backyard by the tree company, but, that have to go through conservation committee. But anything that requires a road opening or road work or a trench cut or anything like that, I believe they're all aware of those things. Or responding to a water break or a,
Sure.
fire or a break-in, they're all aware of that stuff.
And the other thing too, Joe, like, so our agendas are all posted online, for our meetings and stuff at night. And I will say the committees and boards are pretty good of saying, hey, Chief, we have something on the agenda tonight that could get a little heated. We could have folks very angry. We could have, it could lead to some arguments and some escalation. So our police is awesome. We let them know, and 9 times out of 10 you have an officer in the crowd. So I think there's good communication between our first responders as far as what's going on in the building.
Does that answer the question okay, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else from the group? Okay. So that being said, our next regularly scheduled meeting is 2 weeks from tonight. I assume same time, same place, on the 25th. with possible executive before that, maybe hoping that next week goes well. Stephen will sit with our potential candidate. I would look for, if you're interested, I would look for a meeting to be posted sometime between
Yeah, middle-
Monday and Thursday of
Yeah.
next week, potentially with this candidate coming in for an interview, which you'd all be welcome to be at, obviously. And I think that would be about it.
I think you covered it.
Okay.
You're getting good at this chair thing.
Yeah. Lastly, I would be remiss. I always say thank you as always to Pam. I think specifically this has been a heavy lift these last couple of weeks for you as well.
Here, here.
You know, maybe not that much more than usual, but I feel like there's been a lot of, I was on vacation, needed some help remotely, and I relied on you via text, and that might not always be the easiest thing when you're on your computer. So I appreciated the communication, and it seemed like a little bit more work from me this week. So it wasn't because I wasn't prepared. I was just at Storyland in Santa's Village, which is difficult sometimes. Okay, that being the case, go ahead, what'd you say?
That was a fun time.
Oh, well, those are real fun. All right, I will entertain a motion to, is there anything else from Ready?
No,
Okay.
yeah, this is it.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, 2-0. Have a great night. Thank you for all of your attendance.
Thank you, guys.
Adjourned at 8 o'clock. 2 hours.
2 hours on the nose.